poems. I love the songs. The Lord upholds all who fall and raises up all who are bowed down. The eyes of all look expectantly to you, and you give them food in their due season. I really love that verse, man. But a lot of times God's really showing me not to worry so much about the way other people receive things. To just go ahead and speak them anyways. But also leading, I feel like it's being led somewhere and then feeling like you're not empowered to do what you were led to do. Kind of a weird thing. Like I feel like often, like if I'm led there, then God will fill me with the power to be able to do what He's asking me to do, right? Whatever that might be. And then so oftentimes, like I feel called in the spirit, you know, definitely sitting here in nature, watch it, and reading the word and feeling the spirit, and then I want to share that, and it's like on my heart heavy to share it. But then when I go to do it, I'm just completely just like suffocated by fear. And then it's like, watch it, to be able to break through that, and I'm constantly stuck in this like, well, if God really wants me to do it, then it's going to be easy kind of like idea and perception, right? But it's not always like that. I'm like, God, if you're going to lead me to the mountain, then fill me with the strength to climb and to get through it and break through and to dig through, watch it. But it's also, all right, so this is the second part. The second part is the daily bread for today is I will boast more gladly about my weakness so that Christ's power may rest on me. So it's kind of crazy how the things fit together, kind of like leads you to one point, watch it, and shows you the next point. It's like, I think of it a lot like neural pathways being new neural pathways being created in mind. So like he'll lead us to a point, boom, and then show us another point. And then like the two will connect. So kind of like the daily bread this morning, and then where He led me in the Bible today, like just being two little pieces that the Spirit will connect from us needing the strength. You know, I boast in my weakness so that Christ's power may rest on me. So like me being led here, the Lord uplifts all who fall, whatever. And then like having a little connection, but then it also makes me wonder about how profound the connections will be, not only just in the Bible that we haven't even received, but through other religions, right? And through other ways that, because the one language, which I do believe is telepathic, maybe possibly an actual language, but regardless, it was split into scattered into a bunch of tongues, and the Holy Spirit brings all the tongues back into one, right? So that's Apache, that's Aztec, that's, you know, Hindu, like all different languages, all different cultures from everywhere back into one spirit, one soul. So it's also like the tiny little revelations that were given to be trusted to, like, you know, share them or whatever. But like even if it's just a little thing between two verses, like, man, boom, a little connection in the mind for the mind of God to grow, that consciousness of God to grow. But then also, like, man, I love thinking about how profound it would be, because we can't even fathom what kind of connections are from Revelations to Genesis, and people are always still finding new. The word like connects and foretells itself within the Bible, within the scriptures. Not even to mention like the Apocrypha, not even to mention like other books, and then onto other religions and stuff as well. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. And as the languages were scattered to like Spanish, English, all these different languages, and the one people from like Pangea were scattered to all these different races, and it's like the recollection, it's like the Big Bang, boom, explosion, and then come back. Big Bang, boom, explosion, then comes back. But it's also like that smaller, just in the races, all the races scatter from black to white, like the farthest reaches, different languages, which then also, you know, different religions, but then comes back together to the one spirit that is alive and also people. And then so the religious mind will really like trap and cage the spirit that wants to find its connection in so many other different ways. What I'm trying to say about this language, man, in the same way that our spirits or souls needed to cling to a language to communicate what the spirit and soul is trying to say, it's like in scattered parts, you know, Spanish had to find its own words and dialects and ways to communicate what it's trying to say for the same thing, you know, the leaf, the grow, the seed plant, leaf, tree, grow, whatever. And then mismo la semilla aquí waste honda aquí hasta irne yo and este it's the same for na yota este wakian este parte este le es como wate hiote. The way the religion wants to express what it's trying to communicate of the same soul and the spirit. Yeah, but that perfection energy, man, that really kills a lot of dreams and kills even just daily tasks. I think dreams get put on a pedestal too big and then they're unreachable, kind of like being led to the mountain that you can't. It's just too big for that moment. You gotta like the little pieces, but it's also like the Albert Einstein or whatever, whoever said it, or Newton, like equal and opposite force reaction. So the more light or whatever that any vessel is gonna hold or harness, it has to be a slow growth, or as much as you can handle. Because for every pushing, there's a pulling, regardless, right? So we gotta, or they, as Christians say, the enemy will attack when you're doing the Lord's work, and that's just another language of saying the same thing, right? The more you're full of the spirit or vibration, high vibrational energy, the more you have to be able to harness that and have the ohms of resistance, which I think is awesome that you could relate that they use that same word ohms. Watch this monster though, he locked out, bro. What's up, loc dog? What's up, loc dog? Monster? The dog's locked out. What's up? Show him your crazy eyes, fool. Oh yeah, loc dog. Show him your crazy eyes, fool. Alright, whatever. Oh yeah, so the perfection energy. A lot of it's not wanting to show up while being messy. And always seeing like every angle of what could be wrong. Like, but even if there's a tiny little spirit light, showing just to do it. No matter how much is counting against it, to still break through to the light, because you don't know how much knots it's untying and how much like roots it's breaking through to be able to do that. So it having to be too easy of a task all the time, kind of, that's what I've been struggling with. It like always wanting things to be easier. So we stay here. You don't know how much ground is being broken through when sometimes it's more difficult, but you still do it. This is something I always want to share though, and like emphasize on. It says, the Lord upholds all who fall and raises up all who are bowed down, the eyes of all who look expectantly to you, and you give them food in their due season. And it's like the hearts of every human being that has a spirit inside of them, their spirits, that's Ecclesiastes, their spirits are longing for a connection with God, and God gives them the food of, to satisfy the desire of every living thing. Everything's constantly seeking God within something else, whether it's a bird looking for a piece of food, whatever. And the eyes of all who look expectantly on you, even the third eye, or the eye of our soul, is always looking and searching for something, whether it's something in a relationship, or the next thing to do in life. Here's this one. It's the Ecclesiastes 3:11 or 10. I've seen the God-given task with which the sons of men are to be occupied. Okay, this one. He has made everything beautiful in its time, and he has put eternity in the hearts. Except that no one can find out the works of God from the beginning to the end. So it's beautiful so that goes back to what I was saying earlier. From the beginning to the end, like we can't, even the first word of the Bible to the last word of just the Bible, like we can't find out all the works that were, like everything that's connected in every beautiful way. It's like every letter is a thought of God, like a neural pathway or a star in the sky that is yet to be connected. So not even word to word, but letter to letter, even with how complex the Hebrew word is. Like we can't discover everything, let alone to religion to religion. It's beautiful. So yeah, the eternity in their hearts thing, it's like there's a spark. So like every human being a letter, and all like 7 billion periodically in this moment alone, not mentioning the past and future of people that have lived, but this moment alone, it's like every letter of the Bible is a different person, and it all has to come back together to be the one body of God again. And it's crazy because like everyone's made beautiful in its own time. Like there's a certain time for certain revelations to be made, because if people understood them in the wrong time, it would be used wrongly, like power. In it's kind of like, yeah. So that goes back to like the harnessing. Like we can only harness so much, or it'll destroy us. And it's like too much power too and if our hearts ain't compatible with that power, like it'll destroy us. Or like truth without love kind of deal. And what was I saying? So every letter is a person, and when it comes together, it creates a story, but not even, you know, front to back, like how many the story told different ways. What is it? But also, yeah, the work. It's also beautiful. The work, the tasks given. There's tasks. Oh yeah, sparks. So I may be called to a certain city, a certain place. You know, I had no idea why I was called to certain places, but then you learn certain, or the Christians call it impartations. So the spark, oh yeah, sparks too, sparks and impartation. So certain kings had to travel to certain places to learn a certain thing in order for their due task and due work, so that they would be anointed with a certain impartation to be able to carry that out. Kind of like this whole thing, me being led to it and just being told, like, just to speak on it, but not knowing really what is it that I'm going to say. I don't even know. And then the way that it connects and connects and connects. It's the same with our mission. Sometimes we'll have a calling to go a certain place, but we won't even understand why. And but it's made beautiful in its time. So to remember the love and the beauty of all of this earth, life, play, whatever, and also the eternity that's placed in our hearts, being that spark from God. And oh dang, so I stood up, turned around, sat back down, and the Bible opened up in a new place. So where there is no revelation, the people cast off restraint. But it also says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And it's awesome, because every little bit of spark that God feeds our spirit for that moment, for that season, it gives us the vision of what to move forward to. So it's like, without the vision of where I need to go next, I will become depressed. I'll start wanting to drink and drug and alcohol and everything. But also with too much vision, it'll discourage me, and I'll be like, there's no way I could do that. So God got to keep us in these margins of just, this is your alignment, this is your daily bread, this is how much bread or light spark bread for that vision that I can give you for today. If I give you too much, you'll run off and think you can do it alone, or way too much, you'll get discouraged and won't even want to do it. If I give you too little, you'll start focusing on the wrong thing. So like people that are giving way too little, that aren't seeking God, that don't know the truth, that aren't familiar with it, and easily become depressed like I was, and very discouraged, and like I was, I'm very lost and just trying to self-medicate with drugs and alcohol. So they need that spark. So like being given that little spark of light to bring down, and even just to speak on them when it doesn't make sense, because there's so many people that are completely without any spirit, any encouragement. They're completely without revelation. And so this revelation is our daily bread. Every revelation God gives us about our life, our task, the eternity that He's put in our hearts, to keep moving towards that more and more. And for it to be able to not have to make sense sometimes. Sometimes it's our daily bread. We got to take this daily walk. And I was definitely vision board this, my whole life planned out this, and like I said, we put our dreams on the pedestal too much. It can just become an obstacle that is dreadful, and you start hating the talents that you were given. They start becoming more of a burden than a blessing, and you start, that's when you edging God out, right? We're edging God out of the dust, but it's all beautiful the way it comes. So I want to say about the religious spirits, man. I've been wanting to say this for so long, but it can really just quench the spirit so bad, because religious always wants to do what has been done. Like, this is the way it's been done, this is the way it has to be done. And it is good as a parameter of don't go past this point, like having some structure in your life. But at the same time, it can really keep you from being able to reach people that are stuck and dark and just suffering under there, that are hey, there's some light under there, and to be able to do things in a different way. But that takes leaps of faith also, because it's secure and comfortable in religion. And even recording this, I didn't want to record this like this, and it doesn't make sense. But who knows what it's going to become? No one knows the outcome of things from the beginning to the end. I love Ecclesiastes, for real. That is my favorite stuff, for real. It was God lifts up all who are bowed down. That's one of my favorite ones, because I've ever since I was a kid, I've loved bowing, from martial arts and stuff. And the religious spirits will want to condemn that and be that's bad, you can't bow, it's like a handshake or whatever. But you never know what the key is to access somebody that is going to be able to receive the spirit through in a way that you relate to them. So how many people just bowing as an example, to bow to somebody, how many other people from other religions you could be able to reach, Paul's use of his freedom But not even just that, the excitement when the Spirit is inside you, the way that it manifests through religious, it might stir religious people in a way that is uncomfortable to them. And that is something that I deal with and suffer from. Or tattoos being an example, man. Like, how many people are, that's certain religious people will be like, no, you got to get your tattoos removed, or you can't show them, you got to cover them up. But as well, man, when like it's in the ministry, that's going to be something that could relate to somebody. Watch that. And it's the same with bowing or whatever background you come from. The parts of your soul that are like really get excited and that are truly expressive, like bowing or whatever, or feathers as well. Feathers being, a key that might be able to reach a lot of nations, man. And not to like, oh man, like Ecclesiastes says, don't be overly righteous with all these things, because you really do quench the Spirit when it's trying to be able to reach somebody, especially going back to Paul's use of his freedom. But it's not just that, to everyone he becomes that person to be able to match and relate. And the religious is so quick to want to categorize everything as evil and demonic and everything. And the feathers being for real one of the big ones, because hold up, I should have found it first. Like, this one of my favorite verses real quick, Psalm 91 and Psalm 91:4. This is one of my favorites. He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. And especially for my native people, like, that's a beautiful verse, man. To be able to, like, how much more people could you reach if you really just love them first, love the person first, and then you could use that verse, in a different way, instead of using verses against people to crush them, to bring them down, to break them, to let go of that religious mindset, and to be able to use all these verses, man. If you've seen somebody you hate, or how's it say, love your enemies, because even pagans love the ones that love them. If you use the words religious to want to reach someone, to want to help them up, to want to lower your or bow down to their level of darkness where they're at, and to let the light shine through you to it. Because, man, even in like the last 5 years of like reading and studying and trying to seek the Lord diligently, man, and fasting and praying and all the things I've done, and leaving home on wash day and going on the voyage journey, man, like I still only get glimpses of God in certain ways, and it's not all the time, like, but it's like you get those glimpses, the reminders, like, oh yeah, I'm still with you, where that pure holy light shines down. And it's to give it, to share it, to or how Jesus says, to feed the lamb, or whatever, to feed his lambs, but to share that revelation, share that impartation, and to connect the words of the body of God, to make the neurological connections, man, like the star to star reach out. Because it's so beautiful when it's like peaceful Sunday morning light shining on you. You sitting in nature, you sitting in the trees, not in some, it could be wherever, but like when the purity and the holy, like, brightness of God's light is shining through the sun, like beyond the yellowness of the sun, the yellowness, whatever, the regular daylight, like the pure, vibrant, like radiant light of the pure Spirit of God shines on you. It's not all the time I feel like that, but there's been profound times where it's really got me, man. It's really made me melt. It's really touched my heart. It's really changed me. But it's not all the time. So it's like being able to, when the clouds come and the sun is covered and the darkness falls, watch that, to be able to hold on to that anchor point, or that connection to Christ, and to be able to still speak about it, to be able to still bring it into the darkness. Okay, now you bring it into the streets or whatever, watch that, into the night. I also want to mention how beautiful I think speaking in tongues are, man, because it really is. The Holy Spirit fell upon them and they started speaking in tongues of every language of every nation. But it's also beautiful because the New Age, the light workers, they be speaking light languages as well. And it's crazy how similar it is and how beautiful it sounds, especially mixed together, because it is every tongue, right? And I know religious, but it's like, it is so beautiful, and I do feel like it is powerful, and it is something that has helped me the most, to be able to just like, we don't have to understand everything from the beginning to the end of the word and all the connections, but it's also like every sentence that I could speak, you don't even know how much energy is behind it, of just what you're trying to say on the surface level, and then how profoundly it is with all all the different tongues and dialects and everything that you're speaking, you're saying a billion things that you couldn't say in one sentence in like that. Like like if all the stars singing at one time just illuminated the entire sky, just it was just pure love. I really love that word profound, but you know, meditating on the profound things. But yeah, so the meditation, man, is something that gets cut out of Christianity a lot, and it's crucially important. The Bible's always talking about meditate on this, meditate on the word of the Lord, meditate on everything, like all the things that are beautiful, you know, that are lovely, that are praiseworthy, that are honorable. Meditate on these things. And man, it's like we really cut ourselves short a lot, being so quick to demonize everything and, you know, to cast it off. Like meditation is not bad. We're supposed to we're constantly meditating regardless, just becoming familiar with and dwelling on things in our mind. Like, we need to be meditating purposefully, consciously on the things that are important. And yeah, amen. I really love T.D. Jakes when he talks about the rhythm of everything, of the universe, of the seasons, of the cycles. Everything's in rhythm, and it's beautiful because, you know, the way the moon rotates and is there for our seasons, you know, for us to know the time, the way everything just moves in rhythm. The whole universe is just boom, shika, boom, shika, boom, shika, boom. It's in a beautiful rhythm. But it had me wondering or thinking about the